Welcome back to the In Your City Soul String Show. And today we have true music legend joining us with a career spanning more than 5 decades. He's given us timeless hits like Lowdown Lido Shuffle and We're All Alone. His landmark album, Silk Degrees, not only went multi-platinum, but also helped inspire the band Toto. And his music continues to bridge rock, blues, R&B, and jazz. And the best part, you can catch him right here in St. Louis at the Factory in Chesterfield on November the 4th. Please welcome the one and only Boz Scaggs. Boz, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining the show.
I'm good. I'm happy to be with you.
We're heading to the Factory November 4th. What can the fans expect from that night, Boz?
Well, we're going to mix it up with the hits, some rhythm and blues, some rock, and some standards. Well, no standards this time. It's pretty much the whole gamut of my musical repertoire.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let's rewind to Silk Degrees. That album was a massive turning point. Did you know in the studio at that time that it was going to be as special as it was?
You never know. You have a feeling. The musicians and I really felt there was something special, but I'll be quite honest with you. I think everyone who's ever recorded an album at some point in that process feels like this is it. We've got it. This one's going all the way through. So that was about my fifth or sixth album. And while I had that feeling and the musicians shared it with me, I don't think any of us really would have believed that it would have taken off quite the way it did. It was a really fun ride.
Lido Shuffle is a fan favorite, but it almost didn't make it as a single. Tell us the backstory on that one.
It came out, it was one of the first singles released, and it didn't immediately grab all the hearts and minds of radio listeners everywhere. I think I'm telling this story correctly. We were about maybe the fourth single in, we had three singles out, and nothing had really caught. But a radio station in Cleveland, as a matter of fact, it was an R&B station. There were clear distinctions, as you probably know, in those days between rhythm and blues music and pop music. And the rhythm and blues station started playing Lowdown. And it became like an instant, not instant, it became a very heavily played song in the Cleveland area. That crossed over into the pop radio. And that crossover started a kind of a wildfire, and the album and the singles took off, and it sort of by way of Lowdown leading the way, Lido followed. It caught everyone's ear, and that pair of songs together kind of went crazy.
One of my favorite songs is JoJo as well, off the Middleman album. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice before Silk Degrees, what would that have been?
One piece of advice before Silk Degrees, I gave myself completely to that album, to those musicians that I worked with, and to the producer that I was working with. I had the material pretty well prepared, more prepared than I'd ever been going into a recording, and it was just the way it was picked up. I don't know what I could have done any differently. I had done everything I could to prepare for that record, so it wasn't preparation. I got really, really lucky in one very important instant. I called a great musician, a drummer named Jim Keltner, and asked him if he could play on this record. Jim was booked, but he says, if he says, I know these young guys, they're studio musicians, they're still in their teens, but if you get them, I think you're going to have the best shot. And sure enough, I called these three young musicians, and happened to be Jeff Porcaro and David Page and David Hungate, who went on to become Toto. Yeah, so that was the best advice was just be completely open and let it happen.
Some pictures right now of you and Steve Miller. A lot of people didn't know that you and Steve Miller played together back in the day. That was how interesting was that, and how did that lead to anything that you're doing today?
Well, that was first we got our first exposure to high level studio recording, so that was a very important time for everybody in that band. That's probably the most notable thing in my mind.
Boz, I want to keep mindful of your time. I know you've got another interview to go to. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to come see your show November 4th at the Factory in St. Louis, Missouri. Boz, continued success in everything you do. Love your music. I've loved it for years. So it's an honor to have you on the show today.
Thanks
So
so much. Thanks so much.
Right.
I'm glad we could talk.
Me
Thanks
too,
for
brother.
having me. You bet.
Bye-bye.
Just 'cause we're